Pandemonium reigns.
It's here. The moment you've all been waiting for. It's twofold. It is the beginning of the week for Week 1 football come Saturday, and it's OrangeCast edition. Talking Tennessee football.
Pandemonium
Cue up Morgan
reigns.
Wallen, crack open your beers, get your deer chili ready. Let's play some Tennessee football. We're going to talk through the 2024 Tennessee Volunteer football schedule, and I could not be more excited. Oh my gosh. Bro, it's here. What are we going to do? It's here.
It's here. Feels surreal to be talking about it, to be waiting for a game on Saturday where the Vols run through the tee and do all the things we love. Fastest offseason ever for a Vol. There's no other way to look at it. Vol baseball delivered the hardware that we've been waiting for, knowing they could deliver. They gave us, they said, yo, we got you. Don't worry about June. Took us right into July. I mean, we had 2 months to kill, dude. We didn't have 6 months to kill like usual. You know what I mean?
We made baseball cool.
We made baseball cool. Vol basketball did some, Vol baseball did the heavy lifting, but they were like, watch us. We're going far too.
Mm-hmm.
Quickest offseason ever, hands down. Maybe I'm just getting old and soft, but it's here. One way or the other, it's here, and we're finna talk about it.
Can't wait. And I was going to say, in some ways, this felt like the longest offseason ever, but you put in a good light, man. We got a national championship over the course of this offseason.
Literally, my glass of water right here, you could say it's half empty. I ain't doing that. That boy's half full, and we're going to carry that right into the conversation for the Vols.
Yeah, baby. Well, let's get into it. So give me one word, one saying, one something, however you want to do this. This is poor podcasting at this moment, on why 24 is different than any other year in the Heupel era.
Oh yeah, it's anticipation. We've never hang on. This century, there's never been a quarterback more anticipated than NICO, for us at least, and that could apply to much of the country, just being honest. Then tell me the last time you had a publication like ESPN rank your beast on the edge defensively as the number one player in the country. The secondary's got more athletic. We're anticipating what they look like. The offensive line, you've added a big guy like Hurd. You still got, future legends like Cooper Mays, and I would even say Jerome Spraggins there at right guard, that you can't wait to see what they do. Mm-hmm. You've been building towards their final years on campus. This is James Pierce's last year on campus, unless something asinine happens. NICO, there's never been a more anticipated season, I think, than this. I think about the receiver discussion with Brazel and what he brings to it, Matthews, Staley, what those guys bring to it. There's just never been – I mean, I know we look forward to every year, but the level of anticipation is different this year to me.
Yeah, man. So I want to spearhead things this way and start by mentioning the D-line. The D-line is the most populated and most talented room that we have in our facilities. It's arguably the most populated, deepest, talented D-line room in the country. Linebacker we haven't seen this much talent at that position. I mean, you remember going into 21 talking about, oh my gosh, who's going to play alongside, what about, man, if he gets that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Talk about the secondary. Okay, you could argue and say, well, it's a whole new set of bodies. I could argue and say that might not be a bad thing.
Yep.
Might not be the worst thing. Who was it? Turrentine, who came out today at the time of this recording and said Jermard McCoy is making plays that he has not seen a secondary player make in his entire time at Tennessee. Okay, well, that's cool because Kamal Hadden just went to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Right? Now you go to the flip side of the ball and you talk about let's go offensive line just for a moment. Cooper Mays is going to play in the pros. All right.
Yeah.
Lance Hurd is going to play in the pros. He's young and he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's going to play in the pros. You got to like John Campbell's opportunity to play in the pros. Spraggins should play in the pros.
Absolutely should be a
I
pro.
mean, Cole Kubalik foams at the mouth when he starts talking about Javonte Spraggins.
Yeah.
Can we figure out left guard? You know what? Here it is in a nutshell anyway. You and I have said this. We don't ask the offensive line to win this ball games anyway. We ask them to go fast and make creases, right?
Yeah.
By just enough time. You talk about the edge. You talk about wideout. Now my gosh, Brew McCoy, Squirrel Right, Tulane transfer, Brazel. They're high again on a disappointing 23 out of Dante Thornton, but we're talking about him almost more and with more anticipation than we did going into last season. They're using or saying things like he's figured it out. Okay,
yeah.
Well, holy crap, that's two massive bodies in Brazel and Thornton. You got young talent, Mike Matthews, Staley, who you mentioned. Now you go to the halfback position. Okay. Dylan Sampson is a top, I'm going to be conservative here, top 5 back in this conference.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Conservatively, he is a top 5 back in this conference. There's 1 or 2 guys that you would probably choose for sure over a Sampson. Selden's now healthy. He's given a green light. Keith is about as thick as a freight train. And they like where Deshaun Bishop is headed. Okay, so there's backs. There's backs on backs. And now you got tight end, which is what I really, really wanted to get to, because what a lot of people don't understand, and this is what I appreciate about Eric Kane and Locked On Vols, is he emphasizes the importance and the value of the tight end position in this Heupel offense, and there's a ton of it because we ask a lot of tight ends.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so in comes Notre Dame transfer Holden Stays, who we seem to really like. We seem to really like this. Big body seems to be able to catch and block. Then you gotta like the rise of Ethan Davis. He has changed his number from 86 to 0. If these guys these days are getting single digit number, I just think that's a good sign. I mean, that just tells me that dudes are making plays. And then finally, the Kitzelman kid. Like we were just anticipating on that being another body. So you said anticipation, I'm saying depth. Yeah. Now, we're not as deep as a Georgia or anything like that. We're not as deep as a Bama. I'm not saying that. And nor do I think it's comparable. But my gosh, 21, we won 7 regular season games. This team would wipe the floor with that one.
Oh gosh, would murder them. Handed Hooker would be the only player that team had. Just about Cedric Tillman, not going to knock him.
Right.
Very few players is what I'm getting at. Just like you're saying, depth would wipe the floor with them. That offensive line that was a younger version of what pieces that we still have, but these guys are older now. They would blow them off the ball on both sides of the trenches, I think. And the depth, man, you're right. The running joke was the McDonald's bags at that time, but it should have been the linebacker position where you had long snappers taking reps in spring and fall practice to bolster the position. Yeah. It wasn't there. It was non-existent. We were lucky to make it through as healthy as we did in 21. And it's as far opposite from that as you can be without being Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. You know what I'm getting at here.
Absolutely.
You can't be further away.
Absolutely. So there's just a lot to be excited about. And you'll notice I didn't even mention NICO.
Right.
And truth be told, in 24, does he need to be elite? Does he need to be? I mean, it's going to send us through the roof if he is, but does he?
Yeah.
I mean, Sampson is an every down back, and this defense is good enough to, excuse me, the defensive front is good enough to win you a handful of games. All right,
they are. Yeah,
they're good. I really look forward to talking about that in one of the upcoming games early in the schedule. I think that's a difference maker. But I mean, can he just be good?
Absolutely.
I think you can reach for the ceiling if he's just good.
Agreed.
If he's just good. Well, listen, man, I'm not real sure what else to say before we get into the schedule.
Yeah, I think, just to go the opposite direction, just a little less optimism here, going away from the optimism a little bit. Like you talked about, you prefaced the offensive line really well. Left guard does need to be figured out early. It needs to be figured out Saturday. Left guard needs to be ran away with Saturday by someone. Someone pull away and do that. We need to see Sampson pass block in ways that he's not done before.
Mm-hmm.
Surely, as a junior, I expect him to take certain steps, regardless. But he needs to really, he'll probably prove that to us in more like week 2 or in week 4 in Norman. But yeah, just those concerns of left guard, pass blocking from Sampson, and overall, giving NICO more time than Nilton had at times last year.
Absolutely. Okay, well, good, solid stuff. So let's get into the schedule.
Yeah.
Again, it was one of those things where I go through and I write down the wins, I write down the guaranteed losses, and I star the the coin flips, and I went win. Hey, wait a second, what what year are we in here? What is happening? Sometimes it still feels like I'm in the trap of 2012.
Yeah.
The black cloud, as we used to refer to it. So, hey, let's get into this. We're 1-0, right? Come Saturday.
We're 1-0. Yep.
If we're not, the sky fell, and Chicken Little is a real person.
Yes, he called it.
He called it. 1-0. Here we go. Neutral site game. Charlotte, North Carolina. Tennessee's going to travel well. They're going to play to NC State here, and I just want to begin this. Nice little hand motion that I did for all the YouTube people. I want to begin this by saying, if you look at NC State and you see their brand, you see their logo, and you just chalk this up as immediate win and you move on, you're probably a casual, as Josh Pate would say. And I would say, hold on. There's way more to this. Now, they lost a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Peyton Wilson, linebacker of the year. Okay. He's gone, but the way that I want to begin about NC State is you have to mention the addition of Grayson McCall, okay? And Coastal Carolina fans know who I'm talking about. And most college football fans should know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
And you have to mention Doran, man. I mean, the defense is going to be solid. It's going to be solid. You put Peyton Wilson in another story, in another city, another university. I don't know that it quite unfolds the same. I think Doran, I don't know if it's Doran, I don't know what it is.
Doran.
Yeah, was able to turn this guy into what he is now. He's good at developing talent like that. Those guys who, the gym rats who hustle, who get on the field by hard work and all that stuff. Whatever. You dismiss these guys. If we dismiss these guys, if we think that we're going to roll the ball and win, we might be staring at an L.
Oh, yeah.
I think
losable game.
I think it's really going to be closer than a lot of people think, especially a lot of Tennessee fans. I think it's good. This could be a 1-score game. If it's anything more than two scores, then I'm going to say, if it's anything more than a score, it's a 2-score, and there was a touchdown late. There was a field goal late. I think this is going to be physical, and we're really going to have to show up, for lack of better words, and set a tone, right, for the rest of 24. Do you remember those at Pitt 2022 where we came out and there was a couple 3-and-outs and a couple of situations where we had to punt? If we do that, and we allow them to get down the field, get a couple field goals or whatever. We can play from behind. This offense is designed to play from behind. I think you're staring at trouble.
Yes.
I think you're staring at trouble. Not just like, you're staring at trouble. Like, you're going to have to figure this out and figure it out fast. You seem to agree with all this.
I do, because the high-end weapons that they have is what should instill that fear in you. Now, primarily for them, and I'm with you on Doran, his defense. I think they also come out of a 3-3-5 scheme a lot of times, and that's one of those things that butts up against Heupel, Levy, disgraced Baylor coach that I can't think of the name of. All that, it comes out of all that a little bit. No, not Aranda, the longtime Baylor coach. You know who I'm talking about.
Briles.
Art Briles. Those offenses sometimes butt heads with a 3-3-5. It happens at times. I would say that this offensive line is poised to create highways through a defense like that at times, but we'll see if they do it. But the receivers, they've got 2 or 3 real weapons there at receiver. They also brought in someone that everybody in Orange wanted, and Justin Jolie, the tight end from UConn, who was carving up the first, second, third team defenses for UConn last year in Neyland Stadium. Jim Mora and his weird group of just antagonizing weird dudes that wanted to fight maybe more than wanted to play, although there was the Vanderbilt game as well. So a couple of fights in Neyland Stadium last year that weren't actually close games. There's that. There's Grayson McCall, who, look, Coastal Carolina doesn't bring in a 4- and 5-star quarterback and develop him. They developed a guy who wasn't that guy, which is scary. That means he's gritty. That means he will absolutely probably know what to look for based on the coverage that he sees pre-snap. He's a veteran. He is dynamic. He can move around a little bit. You know, you've got to be careful with the weapons that they have. And again, I'm a little more worried about their offense than their defense at this point because maybe I've got too much trust in Tennessee's offense. We'll see. But you cannot chalk this up as a win by any means. You know, I think there's going to be some real grinding that has to be done, whether it is to come back and win the game when it's close all throughout, or whether it's holding on to a lead, or like you said, perhaps they get up and you're just fighting and clawing to stay in it, give yourself a chance to win it in the end. I don't think you shouldn't write this in pen or in permanent marker as a W, although, you know, understanding that I feel the lean towards a win. You shouldn't Sharpie it anywhere just yet.
No, I'm with you. And you mentioned Jolie, the tight end. I think he's the one that everybody needs to be paying attention to because it went public that we didn't want him. I don't know if he wanted us, but it went public that we didn't want him. And if he wanted us, he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder, you know, or even just if he didn't anyway, if he didn't want us at all, it went public that we didn't want him. So, I mean, sometimes games are dictated by the intangibles, the things that you can't see and touch.
Yep.
And I know it's an 11-on-11 game, but we've seen one single players take it over before. Nonetheless, I'm going to take Tennessee by a score.
Yeah. No more than 10 for me, unless because it's something late that probably created a pull away. I think if Tennessee were to win this game big, that would be the best sign that you could get early in the season. You know, that would make you feel really, really good. But I just don't see it today.
Good. I think it'd make the normal, but my mind goes to I almost want to trade some punches just to see what we're made of. I mean,
would be nothing wrong with that.
How many times did we watch under the Dooley and even the Butch era and the Pruitt era watch us find ways to lose games? I mean, when you can get a win on your belt and you had to find a way to win it, that says something about you. I mean, you overcame it. You didn't just roll the ball out.
It 100% helped the 22 team to have to claw the way they did against Pitt up there. And that seems like it, at this point should have been a 21 Tennessee point win, a 21-point win for Tennessee on the road, even based on how the team performs throughout the year. Same for Pitt. But I'm with you. You know, I think it would be really good to have to claw some, maybe even still, if you pull away late, you need to get tested here because weeks 4 through 8 are coming.
They're rough. All right. So you got them as a win. I got Kent State as a win.
Obviously.
I do. W. Then we travel to Norman, Oklahoma. College game day is there. Everything is there. It's everybody's eyes on this one. And all should know by Friday the story on the relationship between Bob Stoops, Oklahoma, and Josh Heupel. Here are the similarities. 5-star quarterback. You know, national brand. You know, there's a lot of solid defense, right? It's Brent Venables.
Yep.
Okay. And some are going to say, well, it is a Venables classic defense versus an up-tempo new age offense. All right. So I'm not going to spoil anything here because on the Oklahoma episode, I predicted Tennessee to win this game. But let me now, after all these days and weeks, let me tell you why.
Yeah.
I think Jackson Arnold is going to be good.
Yeah.
I think they're going to find ways to get the ball into the end zone. I think that defense is solid. I think they have one major problem. Their offensive line. They're still trying to figure it out. And you match that up against a James Pierce and a Caleb Herring and an Omari Thomas and this name and that name and that name and this name and this name, and it just keeps going, and we're just shuffling dudes. And if we can especially make the narrative of the game where we're forcing you to put drives together, and we're just kind of keeping everything in front. We're waiting for you to make a mistake, and we're putting more fatigue on that offensive line, and we're just subbing dudes out on the defensive line. That's the difference for me. That's the difference for me. There's a lot of things that I like about Oklahoma. I like this more. I like the defensive front on Tennessee too much against that offensive line, and that decides I don't know if it's one score. I don't know if it's field goal. I don't know if it's a 1-point win. I don't know what it is. I think it's close. But I like Tennessee here.
Yeah, I like Tennessee here as well. I'm not going to flip from the Oklahoma episode and the preview of their season that we did. I'm not going to flip on that. The main thing for sure, the on-field storyline is OL versus DL. Their youth, their inexperience, the lack of starts that they're going to line up to block those guys that you just named, and we're deep there. We are heavier than we've been there. I mean, we're not light there at all where we have been in years past. The other thing that I'm going to be curious for is, was it a fluke? Two things for Jackson Arnold. Was it a fluke that he had all those yards against Arizona? I don't think it was. I think he's going to be fine at worst.
Agreed.
Now, he had a ton of incompletions, and he tried to pass it like 45 times or something like that, 47 times in that ball game, and he had a lot of incompletions. So are those hitting the turf? Are they going out of bounds? If that's the case, if he has a bunch of incompletions, or are the playmakers going to be there to, perhaps get their hands on those? Jermon McCoy, man, we talked about him a minute ago.
Uh-huh.
He's a former offensive player. He's a ball hawk. He's long, athletic, turn times athletic. We know that. We'll see where the other guys fall. I like Ricky Gibson a lot, but the main matchup, the reason I can't pick Oklahoma, offensive line versus defensive line.
That's what I said.
Comes right back to it.
That's what I said. So you mentioned the incompletions on Jackson Arnold, and you mentioned the bowl game. Okay, you know what NICO didn't have a ton of?
Passing attempts.
I was going to say completions.
There you go. That's fair.
12 completions on 19 attempts.
Yeah.
In his that day eliteness, he saw that it wasn't there, found running room.
Yeah.
Kept his eyes downfield. You could tell that he still wanted to put the ball in the air.
Yeah.
But a little bit of Bryce Young there for you. And I know that's a premature comparison, but it's what it reminded me of. Yeah. Okay. So I love that. I love that take on Oklahoma. We got them 4-0 going into a bye week, getting ready to travel to Fayetteville, Arkansas. This is the one that, okay. South Carolina is no longer on the schedule. And for years, going back to 2016, when should have won that game in Columbia and didn't, had no business losing that game, right? Really had no business losing in 22 either. South Carolina has always been that one where I find them on the schedule and I just kind of keep my eye on it. Like, what's in front of it? Is it a bye week for them, us? What? This one feels like that. It's there. They're talking possibly about wearing the orange helmets again. I don't know if you're a conspiracy theorist or, what's the S word? Whatever. Not supernatural. Superstitious.
Superstitious.
Yeah. But this one feels like that. And it's Sam Pittman, who, from running an organization, I don't care if it's running a football team, a basketball team, if you're selling cookies, I want Sam Pittman more than I do Shane Beamer.
Yep.
Okay. So, and Arkansas is not lost for talent. I like everything screams Tennessee here.
Yep.
But that one just makes me nervous.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be woo pig suing it into oblivion. Even if they've got a couple losses at that point, it doesn't matter. They're a good fan base that's going to show up. Sam Pittman is, I don't know if you've been listening, and a lot of this, we know coach speak. It goes both ways. He's confident in this group. He's obviously probably trying to do some building up within this group, but they brought in a dynamic quarterback in Taylor Green. Iffy on the weapons that he has to deal with on the edge, especially, but we were iffy. We've been iffy about all those South Carolina teams. Just like you said, they've had holes, they've had issues. Now, more so in the 2016 present era, less so in the Spurrier years where he could do things with you and I at receiver or wherever on the field. He could just do ridiculous things with anybody on the field.
Yeah.
But this is a trap spot. This is the trap spot on the season, probably. Again, talent versus talent. I'm not going to call a hot take against my squad. I'm going to say Tennessee's 5-0. But
Yeah.
The same way that we're calling for you to have your eyes open to be alert against North Carolina State. Now that's due to their talent, their head coach that's proven that he's a 8-9 game, 10 game winner here and there. It's not that reason because that's not who Arkansas is, but it's the spot. It's what you have coming after it in Florida and Alabama in back-to-back weeks. It's all those things. Eyes wide open. We're not riding in Sharpie right now. We feel really dang good about going into Fayetteville, Arkansas and getting a win and probably picking up some, chicken from Walmart or whatever because it's, close to Bentonville. But it's a win, but let's not get crazy.
So here's another reason this makes me nervous. It precedes Florida.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to host Florida, and everybody, even people who are not college football fans, knows how this rivalry going back to 2004 has gone. You're talking about 2 wins since 2004, since your boy was a senior in high school. Even still, showing my age, I'm 37 years old. 2 wins. 2 since I was a senior in high school. Everything screams Tennessee, though.
Don't it?
Everything screams Tennessee. I mean, if you're looking for positivity on the Florida end, you gotta say, we like what we got in Graham Mertz, right? And I think the formula is going to be the same, right, with him. Hey, nickel and dime it down the field, 3 yards in a cloud of dust here. A quick out there, like just keep putting drives together, right? The offense can't score if it's on the sideline. Defense has improved, though. It's improved. It's better. So a lot of reasons to like Tennessee. I'm going to go. I mean, Florida could be 0-5, 0-6 at this point, and I'm still I've got bite holes in my bottom lip. I'm nervous.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think the underrated factors for Florida are probably going to be on the weapons that we kind of continue to shade the weapons that Mertz has, and they keep dropping off just little by little in terms of name recognition, what they've done previously, etc. But some of those young receivers are going to be playmakers. And look, if it goes poorly for Napier, that may be playmakers outside of Gainesville. That'd be great. But for now, your known commodities are Mertz, mid-range passes to short-range passes, with the occasional deep shot here and there. But they've got the issues, man. I mean, Montrell Johnson, he had something arthroscopic done, and that is not a deep room at their running back position for them. It's also not that, it's not the defense that they had last year alone, where they had Princely coming off the edge. Yeah. And they had different weapons in the secondary. All signs point to Tennessee, but I've got more hesitation than any other game on the schedule. And I'm going to call it, again, I'm not making a hot take against my team. It's almost as simple as that. Tennessee should win this game, so I'm predicting it with, 1% confidence maybe?
I hear you, dude. Josh Pate did a whole segment on most talented teams in the country, and Florida made the top 15. I don't know if it was referencing something or if it was his own doing. I didn't like seeing that. Like, what do they know, and what does he know that I don't? What talent are you talking about? At the end of the day, it's a rivalry, and it's why we play the game. Then, for the first time that I can ever remember, Florida and Bama in back-to-back weeks.
Lovely, huh?
Hosting both. That's the way that you want that. It's going to come just before a bye week. And because I can't basically predict us to go 11-1, I think I just gave everything away right there. I got this as a loss.
Oh, I've gone back and forth on this so many times, dude.
Who hasn't?
I can't envision Tennessee winning this game, but now we've talked about
doable.
It's doable. It's so doable. It sets up for, again, another shootout, probably subtract 10, 15 points apiece because I don't know if you know this, but Florida State had like one drive in the second half with the new rules on Saturday. Yeah. So probably subtract from the 52, subtract from the 49. I can't envision this as a win yet. I don't know why. I don't know if it's fear of DeBoer and Milroe, just that duo. Look, a lot of buzz about their receivers. I think they drop off a little bit at that position personally. Alabama, they lose Bond. I mean, They lose Dupree, I believe, the tight end that they had as a safety valve.
Yeah.
They lose a running back in Roydell Williams that we saw not do a ton Saturday, but he's going to be important. And they're a two-man show there, as we know of right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, man. I kind of can't call it. I can't call it today. I didn't call it in 2022, at least at the time of this much time until the matchup. I didn't call it then. It's a loss.
It's a very winnable game, but predicting you right now, it's a loss. And there's a lot of football between now and that day.
Sure enough.
So there's plenty that can flip this narrative. But right here.
Oh man, I hope like nothing else when it's the middle of October and we're previewing that game, that week's games, and I'm like, Vols by 50. I hope that's what I'm doing.
Sure.
But as of today, I'm not making that call today.
And also what it boils down to is Saban just didn't leave an empty cupboard. I know a lot of people transferred out. Doesn't matter. They are still loaded.
Yes, they are.
Loaded.
Yes, they are.
Get a bye week. After we both predict that loss there, get a bye week, which is great. I like the spot of this bye. Yeah, I like it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
I like it. Before we host Kentucky, and Kentucky's just one of those things where, again, has Stoops redeemed himself from that whole Tamu debacle? Also, you just haven't beaten us. Listen, I've done this on other episodes, so don't just think that he's a Tennessee fan. It's one of those things where until you do it, I'm going to have a hard time. I mean, you did it in 2020. We were terrible. We were
terrible.
We were so bad. Gorentano was special bad that day. And then before that, it was 2018?
17.
17, yeah. 17, and last year, Butch. Dooley went 2-1 against him. I mean,
oh man,
Tennessee.
Yeah, dude. It's the opposite of Florida. Where I usually don't call Florida a win. I'm doing that today, but not calling this one a loss either. Kind of saying the same thing. Not making a hot take against my own team like this. I've got doubts, man. They lose Ray Davis. They've got two weapons that we know of for Brock Vandergriff. My gosh, at that moment I remembered his name. At the moment I said it, I remembered it. And there's some upside to like with Vandergriff. Looks tough. Looks like he can move. We'll see how he throws it because, frankly, he didn't beat out Carson Beck, who we know is pretty dang good throwing it. So obviously he's a little worse than Carson Beck at best. We'll see. We'll see how that translates to the rotating doors of offensive coordinators for Kentucky that we all know about. Will they, won't they, with Liam Cohen, yada, yada, yada. Again, two weapons that we know of, and Barryon Brown and Dane Key, I believe, are back. But Ray Davis isn't, man. And he was a massive part of what they did last year. New quarterback, I think new OC again. Obviously, as they build these defenses, those guys graduate and they have to rebuild again. Now we know about Deion Walker there in the middle, but I saw Dylan Sampson shake him in the backfield when he should have been down for a loss last year. So not calling it for Kentucky, not making the hot take. Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, man. Then we're going to turn around and host Mississippi State. Unless the wheels fall off, this is Tennessee, year 1 versus year 4. Elite quarterback versus I don't know who they have. It's in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee, rooting for Levy, rooting for Mississippi State. They need some good to come their way through everything they've been through as a fan base and losing Leach and everything. The replacement didn't work out. We know that. So they need some weapons. They don't have them yet.
Time for that replacement.
They didn't. I'm with you, but I'm also not the world. You know me. I'm not the world's biggest advocate for holding on to coaches. If you have a feeling. Also, Levy needed to be scooped as head coach. Now you just got to give them weapons. They don't have the weapons for a November 9th victory in Neyland Stadium. That's a loss for Mississippi State.
Yeah, dude. All right, so this next one's where we're going to spend most of the time as far as the rest of the season goes. We're going to travel to Georgia, and there's a lot of things to like about us at this point. There's a lot of things to like, and assume everything is healthy. It's still in Athens, and Georgia's still Georgia, and they are still loaded. And Georgia, basically last time we went there when we were humming, said, you can do whatever you want to do. Watch this. And in some ways, I mean, they beat us at our own game. In some ways, if you want to spin it that way. In other ways, they beat us at theirs. They just handled us. And we were humming. I don't see an upset here. Georgia.
Georgia wins this game. They've got two concerns that I'm worried about for them on the whole. It's their running back depth, and it's their pass catchers, whether that be doing it through the tight end, Delp, and man behind him, or the guys that I don't know yet at receiver. I think they could run the ball exclusively probably and come close to winning this game. They've got this one.
Two things are going to really have to happen. They're going to have self-inflicted wounds. They're going to have to shoot themselves in the foot more than once.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to take advantage of turnovers. So that's really 3 points. We got to create the turnovers and then take advantage of them. Those things have to happen. They have to happen.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to close it out. Hosting UTEP. That's a win. At Vanderbilt. That's a win. Give me your ceiling and floor in 3 minutes.
So I do think the ceiling is 11-1. Now, that is basically a perfect season because I don't see a path for Tennessee to win in Athens. So you're doing everything right. You've went into Norman, you've weathered them, you've beaten Florida, which you just don't do that much, and you've beaten Alabama for the second time in 17 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're doing all those things, and those are three huge things. And we saw the 2022 team do huge things. So we know that a Hopper-led team can do it. We know that we're pretty well stocked after mainly what we lost in 2022. We're pretty well stocked at those positions. We're ready to go. We appear to be ready to go, but that's doing everything right. I mean, that's winning some games that you just have not won, and losing in Athens is what 11-1 is. I think the floor, is 8-4. I don't think it's 9-3. And that would be like NICO just isn't elite yet. He's also maybe not a great game manager yet. I don't see that being the case. It would probably be more like the offensive line just isn't creating the run game that Heupel loves to lean on, that he loves to throw at you. The receivers haven't improved much from 2023, or maybe there's an injury there because I think Brew is set for a massive, massive comeback this year. He looks great. And then there's pieces behind him that we love, and Squirrel and some of those other guys. But I think it's 8-4 because you dropped, again, maybe North Carolina State and Oklahoma. Maybe you lost to Florida again. Or maybe it's just as simple as you lose to Bama, Georgia, and then, I don't know, North Carolina State and Oklahoma. But when you've got a young quarterback, when you've got a couple pieces that you're worried about on the offensive line and you need some new pieces to step up, I think that the door is creaked open for 4 losses, but that'd be a real disappointment.
We matched perfectly. 11-1
Yeah.
8-4 floor. Both got it 10-2, the exact same losses. I'm really just going to end by saying this. My hesitancy with picking us to go 10-2 is that I chose us to go 9-3 last year, and I was a game over. We went 8-4. I can see it 9-3. I can. You can spin that, and it don't take a hard spin in order for me to get there.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, though, we've said it 1,000 times. There's a lot to be excited about, a lot of anticipation, excited about bodies and depth and names and numbers and so forth and so on. Cannot wait for this season to get here. So we're going to land this thing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and tuning in with us on this OrangeCast episode, predicting the 2024 Tennessee Volunteers. Hey, here's to 12-0, baby. Here's to 12-0. Bump 11-1. Here's to 15-0. Bump that crap. Natty baseball champs, natty football champs, natties everywhere.
Go make me wrong. Go make me eat these words. I watch this episode every day for a year if we go 12 and 15-0, brother. Absolutely. NICO, his idol's Bryce Young. Go get yourself to New York. I ain't going to say idol. His buddies, Bryce Young, they're buddies. He models his game after him. Be like him. Bring us some hardware, and let's ride.
This is Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. He's Mike. Vols are 15-0. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.
Pandemonium reigns.